NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Jay All Day NFL Show. Today, we're talking about the Green Bay Packers. We're going to go over the moves they made in free agency, take a look at the depth chart and this roster to figure out what we're going to do in the draft, and then we're going to do a 7-round full mock draft for your Green Bay Packers. If you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, it really does help us get into the algorithm. And if you want more Packers draft content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you take a look at your screen right here, we'll go over the two moves the Packers made in free agency. Both I don't really love. Nate Hobbs, Aaron Banks. PFF gave them a C-. I think that's even being a little bit generous. Nate Hobbs, 4 years, $48 million, $16 million guaranteed. He was great in 2021, but he was not very good at all in 2024. He allowed catches on 68.1% of the passes in coverage while posting a career low 6.4% forced incompletion percentage. He dealt with an ankle injury and missed 6 out of the last 8 games. Paying a guy like that $12 million a year doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but they need depth at the position. So when you're desperate, you do desperate things, I guess. And then they brought in guard Aaron Banks, another deal I think they overpaid for a little bit. Aaron Banks never has had over a 65 PFF grade. That's pretty mediocre, right? And they're paying him premium money, 4 years, $77 million contract. That's pretty crazy to me, man. That's almost $20 million per year for a guy who hasn't really proved much at the NFL level, but it does give them some much needed depth at the guard position. So I understand why they made that move. The Hobbs move, probably a little bit worse in my opinion, but Banks, he has the potential to keep getting better and better, so the Packers are betting on that. Okay, now let's take a look at the depth chart, right? We'll start with the defense. The safeties I like. Linebackers, I love Edge Cooper, man. Edge Cooper, he's a guy you can really get excited about. One of my favorite players on this Packers roster. I loved him last season in the draft process. I thought he was a huge, huge star in the making. I wanted the Eagles to draft him, but they got Zach Bond, so it worked out for the Birds. But I love Edge Cooper. He's the man. It looks like Jaire Alexander's not going to be back, whether he gets released or traded. That remains to be seen. I think adding an edge defender makes a lot of sense. A linebacker in the later rounds, off-ball linebacker, a Mike or a Sam, for sure makes some sense defensively. Now, if we take a look at the offense led by Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, they need a true X wide receiver, right? They don't really have one on this roster right now. Tucker Kraft really had to step up in his pass-catching ability last year. I love Tom. He's one of the best right tackles in the game. Zach Tom, super impressive guy. Jordan Morgan got hurt last year, didn't really play at all, only like 100, 200 snaps or whatever. Didn't play a lot, dealt with some injuries. And then Rasheed Walker, the left tackle, has been okay. Solid pass blocker, but pretty horrible run blocker. He's okay. 7th round pick. They don't have a lot invested in him. So getting some depth at the tackle position could make some sense later in the draft. All right, Packers fans, here we are. This is how the board fell to us at 23. And right off the bat, you see this guy right here, James Pierce Jr. He comes with a little bit of baggage, but the skills are just so crazy, man. Pass rush grade 89.4, excellent run defender. He could set the edge. Pass rush win rate over 20%, run stop rate over 10%. The dude's a freaking freak show, man. Freak show, 6'5", 243 junior. He's only 21 and a half. The trends have him going to the Packers more than any other team, and I have to agree. If he's on the board, I think the Packers should jump at the opportunity to draft this guy. He does need to put on some size a little bit, in my opinion. He's coming in around 245. I want to see him 250, 255 when camp starts, right? But I do think he's got those fast hands. He's really quick off the ball. He can get sacks at the NFL level, in my opinion. 8 sacks, 4 hits, 43 hurries. The dude's young too, man. Not even 22 years of age yet. I just think the potential is too high to pass up because he's good enough to set the edge, can really, really win at getting to the passer. if the board falls like this and some teams are a little scared about his off the field stuff, you got to go James Pierce Jr., Packers fan. We'll go corner in the second round, but James Pierce Jr., 23 overall, goes to the Green Bay Packers. That's an absolute freaking steal. All right, Green Bay Packers fans, we got an excellent pick in round 1, the edge defender from Tennessee, James Pierce Jr. If the Packers get the opportunity to draft a guy like Pierce at 23, that is going to be great for the Packers defense moving forward, right? I really want to draft a cornerback here, right? Straight up. And one of my favorite corners on the board is Ben Morrison from Notre Dame. Don't look at 2024, look at 2023. He got hurt. It's a hip injury, but he's going to be fine. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. He just turned 21. This dude is so unbelievably talented, man. Just watch the tape. I love the tape. He's got such a high football IQ, man. He's willing to come up and make tackles in the run game. He's got really smooth hips. He's got long arms for a guy who's only 6 foot tall. He's got really good hands, man. He's really good at redirecting wide receivers to get them off of their routes. Good awareness, good timing. I love this kid. Go watch the tape. You will be very, very impressed, man. I just love this guy. He's one of my favorite players in this whole draft. He is a top 3 cornerback in this draft, in my opinion. To get Ben Morrison in the second round, I think it's an absolute steal. Packers fans, you're going to love this kid. I'm telling you. He's smart. He's just a genuinely good kid that's going to make the locker room so much better. All right, now we're in the third round, guys. 87 overall for the Packers. We could take a look at wide receiver. A guy like Jalen Royals is on the board here. 6 foot, 205. He doesn't have super athleticism, but he's got really good hands. I don't know if there's a true number 1 wide receiver. I do like Trey Harris, though, man. Ooh, baby. I do love myself some Trey Harris, boy. I think the reason why Jackson Dart looks so good was because of Trey Harris. He's a true X wide receiver, man. 6'3". I'm like stuttering. I'm so excited because watching his tape, I was like, I don't understand why he's flying under the radar. I think this guy, Trey Harris, could be one of the biggest steals in this draft, man. He doesn't run a ton of different routes, but you want him to get vertical, and that's what you want in this offense, a guy that can go up and make contested catches. Great contact balance. He's a yak guy, man. 6'3", over 200 pounds. He was the go-to receiver at Ole Miss, and I'm not a big Jackson Dart guy, but I think most of his success comes from a guy like Trey Harris, which could really make some sense for the Green Bay Packers, right? We went edge, corner. Let's take a flyer in the third round, 87 overall. I love Trey Harris, man. I think he's going to be an absolute steal at the NFL level. Kind of reminds me of Brian Thomas Jr. a little bit, where they're like, all he does is run the deep routes. But he wasn't asked to in college to run much other routes, in my opinion, right? So Trey Harris goes to the Packers at 87 overall. I love that pick. I think that's an absolute freaking steal. All right, fourth round, 124 overall for the Green Bay Packers. 124. We got all of our big needs: wide receiver, edge, cornerback. Now I want to build some depth. Jalen Rivers, the tackle. Noah Williams, another cornerback I really like. Crenshaw Dixon from Florida had a really good year this year. 6'7", 322. Got some tackle size, man. Definitely got some tackle size. Packers, he's already on their board, man. Most drafted by the Packers. Played left tackle and right tackle. Played left tackle the first 2 years at school. Split time in 2023. Moved to right tackle. Pretty decent player, man. I do like Jack Kaiser, the off-ball linebacker. I think he could be a steal. But I think there might be some other linebackers that I like later in the draft. Chase Lunt, the tackle from UConn. 3-year starter at right tackle. I want a guy with some left tackle experience if I'm going to draft a tackle. I really want to look offensive line here and build some depth in this room. Luke Kandra's on the board. I always liked him. But look at Jack Nelson, a guy I really, really like. 3-year left tackle starter from Wisconsin. He'll be there a little bit later in the draft. We'll probably be there at 159 when we're drafting. So I'm not overdrafting on these guys. So I want to find some, man, Jack Kaiser, he might be just too good to pass up. When you look at this roster, man, they need a true Mike in the middle of this 4-3 defense. And we're in nickel. They need a guy that can play the left inside linebacker opposite Edge Cooper. You bring in a guy like Jack Kaiser, he's a day one starter. I'm doing it. Jack Kaiser goes to the Green Bay Packers at 124. Now we're at 159 overall. Let's take a look at the tackle position. Is he still there? Yes. He's still there. Jack Nelson. I don't want to wait till later at 198. I'm taking Jack Nelson now. Oh, I do like Logan Brown, though, too. Logan Brown's a stud, man. But he never played left tackle, really. More of a right tackle. Jack Nelson is a true left tackle that can compete for a starting job. Swing over to the right side. And I think he's good enough to play guard, too, at that size. 6'7", over 300 pounds. Jack Nelson, I love that pick for the Green Bay Packers, man. What a draft haul so far, guys. Pierce, Morrison, Trey, Harris, a true X wide receiver, 6'3", 210. Jack Kaiser can play opposite Edge Cooper. They might have the best linebacker duo in the NFL with Kaiser and Edge Cooper. And you bring in Jack Nelson, the tackle, 3-year starter at left tackle from Wisconsin. Solid player. I love that pick. All right, now we're at 198 overall. We just want best players available right now. Who is the best player on the board? Jake Majors, the center. I do like that. Adding some depth to the center position. Not a bad idea. Jenkins is the center there now. Elgton Jenkins. Second round pick. He's been decent. Not great. Not great. Bringing some depth to the center position could be cool for the Packers, right? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Where would you like to see them add to the positions of need in the 6th and 7th round? I just want to bring in good quality players, man, that could contribute on special teams. D-line is definitely a position we could use an upgrade on for sure in these spots, right? This is the nickel. This is their base defense. D-tackle makes some sense here in the 6th round. I do like that. And a guy I love is Cam Hormsley from Boston College. A lot of really good defenders on that team. Donovan Ezeraku, who went earlier in the draft. Cam Hormsley can play A-gap, B-gap. You could put him all over this defense, right? I'm just a big fan. 6'4", 306. Good size. I love that pick there. Cam Hormsley goes to the Packers in the 6th round. So as we're looking at this roster, positions of need, we got a linebacker, we got our edge, we got our D tackle, we got our cornerback, we got our X wide receiver, right? Now it's just like best player on the board. In the 7th round, best player available. Teddy Buchanan could be a special teams guy, give some depth to the linebacker room. Played in the slot, played in the box, played on the D-line, played a little bit of everywhere. Great grades all 3 years in college. I'm just bringing in the best football players available. I like that pick there in the 7th round. Next up, 250 overall for the Green Bay Packers, right? Clay Webb, the guard from Jackson State. That could be an interesting pick, right? Because the guard play's been pretty mediocre, right? And bringing a guy like Clay Webb makes some sense. Trust the tackle from Georgia, not so much for me. Just looking at value. Where is the value here, guys? Marcus Ware, Cam Miller from Penn State, pretty solid corner, great run defender. Man coverage grades, pretty sus. Right? For me, Howard Cross from Notre Dame, I did like him in 2023. Regressed a little bit in 2024, but sometimes that happens. Hit a little bump in the road, right? Shiloh Sanders is still on the board. But out of all these guys, value-wise, I think we got to go with the offensive lineman. Pretty solid player, Marcus Ware. All 3 years in college. A smaller school guy, but extremely productive. 6'4", 300 pounds. He excelled at this level. Can he take the step forward? We'll have to see. That's why he's a 7th round pick. Let's do it. Add some more depth to the guard room. All right, guys. Here's our draft, man. B+ overall grade from PFF, James Pierce Jr., A+ grade. Ben Morrison, I love Ben Morrison. I don't care what this grade says. Go watch the tape. You will be impressed. Trey Harris in the 3rd round, A- grade. True X, wide receiver. I love that pick. Jack Kaiser, Jack Nelson, the Jacks coming to the Green Bay Packers. I love Jack Nelson. I don't care what this grade says. 3-year starter. Doesn't give up a lot of sacks. They need tackle help for sure. Cam Hormsley, they need some D-line help. And we also address linebacker and guard later in this draft. You know, when you're focusing on the draft, I want to focus on these top 4 picks. Pierce, Morrison, Trey Harris, Kaiser. All of them could be starting day 1 in 2025 for the Green Bay Packers. Packers fans, let me know in the comments below. You like this draft? Do you not like this draft? I would love to know in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace.